reform comes gradually. Democracy comes gradually. It doesn't come overnight. Overnight comes dictatorship.
You have been jailed in the past for the things you have said.
Many hardliners don't like me.
Well, I'm not surprised.
You're only free to go onto the street as long as you do support the government. If you are against the government, no.
So what's your advice then to the Western powers, to Trump? What should he be doing?
You cannot overthrow the Islamic regime. So the best way is...
Hello and welcome to the Fourcast. We are coming to you from Tehran, where we have been allowed for a short visit to broadcast the news and gather as much news and opinion as we possibly can at this critical time where we are waiting to see whether Donald Trump's promises of a deal between Washington and Tehran will come to anything. Joining me for this edition is Professor Sadegh Zibakalam, who has contributed to Channel 4 News over many years.
Yes.
And we spoke the last time we were here. Thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
How would you assess the situation at the moment in terms of the peace process?
Let me begin by saying that everywhere you go nowadays, before they say Salam Alaikum, they would ask you, what's the latest? Have you heard anything? Will there be peace? Will there be agreement? Or will there be war? And that has been the psychology of Iranians, particularly the more educated, the more affluent Iranian, since Trump was elected and entered into the White House last year. Waiting, and hoping that there would be peace, there would be agreement, there would be a long-term agreement between Islamic Republic and United States. But of course it goes up and down. 1 minute Trump says one thing, another minute he says another thing, and hardliner Iranians say one thing, the more moderate Iranians say another thing, and everything is in a chaos.
Who is in control? Are the hardliners in the ascendancy here? I mean, that's the perception in the West.
No, the backbone of hardliners was the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, up until nearly 3 months ago. And the hardliners lost their backbone. And of course, it will come gradually, but I think the future is not, doesn't belong to hardliners. The future belongs to more moderate, the more educated Iranians, and not hardliners.
What makes you say that?
Because for 36 years, the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, had it his way. What was his way? His way was anti-Americanism. We are going to annihilate, destroy the state of Israel. We should support Hezbollah. We should support Hamas, and anti-Westernism, anti-Americanism, etc., etc. He is no longer there. And there were some Iranians, maybe many Iranians, who were within the establishment, high-ranking Iranian official, in Iranian Majlis Parliament, even within the Revolutionary Guard, and they were not very much in support of the supreme leader's anti-Americanism and anti-Westernism and hardline stand. But they couldn't say anything. They couldn't do anything. They couldn't say anything because the supreme leader had the final saying, and he's no longer there. He's no longer there, and it means that now the more moderate Iranian can gradually say that anti-Americanism has damaged Iranian economy, has damaged Iranian future, has damaged Iranian position within the Middle East, has damaged Islamic Republic's relation with its Arab neighbors. Enough is enough. They couldn't say enough is enough as long as the supreme leader was there, because the supreme leader genuinely supported the idea of exporting revolution and so on and so forth. Now, some say that Mojtaba Khamenei, his son, and the new supreme leader would does believe in the same idea, in the same path, but I doubt. But even if he is revolutionary, if he is even more revolutionary than his father, we must realize that it took 36 years for his father to have the upper hand. And Mojtaba Khamenei cannot have the upper hand so easily.
He doesn't have the authority?
No. It's not the authority per se. It is the status that you will have. And what I can say is that it took 36 years for Ayatollah Khamenei to gain, to establish, to build that power. And Mojtaba Khamenei cannot have that power and cannot have that status.
And how should we think of the IRGC? I mean, are they hardline? Are they in the same mold as
This is the point, because many of the Revolutionary Guard leaders, they are like me and you. They live within Iranian society. They have sons, they have daughters. They see the prices, they see the inflation, they see the unemployment, they see the dissension amongst many Iranians. They know, they could see the reality, and some of them do not support the hardline approach. But the point is that as long as the supreme leader was there, they couldn't do anything, even the Revolutionary Guard leaders. Now, even the Revolutionary Guard leaders who are not very much hardline, now they can say something. Now they can say we exist. Now they can say that we want to have peace with the United States. We want to have a rapprochement with the United States. We want to have a détente with the world. But they couldn't say it as long as the supreme leader was there.
And do you think the people who think those things, who want a totally different approach, can effectively gain control?
Not immediately. Not very quickly. There is a famous Iranian poet called Sadegh. He says, سعدی به روزگاران مهری به دل نشسته بیرون نشایدش کرد الا به روزگاران. You cannot destroy what has been built up for years. You have the same saying in English. You say Rome wasn't built in a day. It took centuries for the Rome to be. It took many years for the hardline policy, for the hardline ideology of Ayatollah Khamenei to rule Iran. Now, you cannot expect overnight that those policies be destroyed totally, but they will be destroyed totally.
But it will be gradual?
It would be gradual. It would be gradual.
Are you talking years?
Of course, it very much depends on other factors, such as the approach that the United States will take, such as the approach that Israel would take, such as the approach that Russia would take, such as the event in the Middle East. But what is certain, the country can no longer carry on the approaches of the late Ayatollah Khamenei.
What has been the actual impact on Iran of the war, of 3 months of war, and of more than a year since the 12-day war?
To say the least, economic disaster. Economic disaster. If you ask me that what has been the result of the war, I would tell you three things. First, economic disaster. Second, economic disaster. Third, economic disaster. And even the hardliners are frightened of the coming out into the streets of the Iranian people, because they fear that the economic pressure, unemployment, inflation, they might have explosion, population explosion. They might have people might come out onto the street again, and even the hardliners are a bit worried of the consequences of the war.
I mean, when Trump began this and he said, over to you, take your country back, effectively, what did you think?
What happened for Trump was something that happened for many other world leaders. What was that? It was very simple, the realization that we were wrong. They were expecting, they believed that if there is a war and if the United States and Israel attack Iran, Iranian people would come onto the street and that would be the end of the Islamic Republic. But they were wrong. American attack, Israeli attack, and even killing the Iranian supreme leader and the Revolutionary Guard leader, etc., it proved that they were wrong. The Islamic Republic is much more powerful than what they had thought, that what they had anticipated. They thought that as soon as we attack, that would be the end of the Islamic Republic. Now, President Trump has realized that it isn't like that. It isn't like that we attack and the Iranian people will come onto the street and that would be the end of the Islamic Republic. He realized that.
He has changed his tune remarkably. I mean, yesterday he was sort of praising Mojtaba Khamenei, saying, he's a better guy than people thought. Is America coming round, do you think, to the idea of wanting this regime to stay in place as one that it could do business with?
Not that they want to, not that they liked, not that they desire, but it is out of inevitability. Trump has realized that the Islamic Republic is there for many years to come, whether we like it or not. And being a businessman that he is thinking that, what about making business with that regime? I was thinking to overthrow it up until now, but I realized that it is impossible to overthrow the Islamic regime. So why not make business with it? It's a rich country. It's full of mineral, it's full of gas, it's full of oil, etc. Why should we make business with it? And there are some Iranian whom he didn't know before, such as Mr. Ghalibaf, such as Mr. Pezeshkian, the Iranian president, etc. They are saying that we are prepared to make deal with you. We are prepared to shake hand with you.
Now, Mr. Pezeshkian, the president, it was rumored he was trying to resign earlier this week. I
think he is unhappy with the hardliners. He is very much unhappy with the hardliners because the hardliners are blaming him for the disaster of the country. Whereas the disaster of the country, the awful situation, the tragedy of the Iranian economy is not because Pezeshkian was incapable and Pezeshkian was wrong, etc. No, anti-Americanism has ruined Iran. We want to destroy the state of Israel, has destroyed Iran. To help Hezbollah has destroyed Iran. To arm Hamas has destroyed Iran. And these have been the policies of hardliners. And they still want to carry out that policy. And Pezeshkian is saying that, well, look, the supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei, ruled the country for 36 years. Isn't that enough for your hardliner, for your ideology? Don't you see that it has brought chaos into Iran? That's why he said that, well, look, if you want to carry out those policies, I'm going to resign. He threatened.
And where does Mr. Ghalibaf sit in this? What kind of man is he?
Up until the moment that the supreme leader was alive, Ghalibaf said that I'm with you. I support you. Whatever you say, it's my belief. But that wasn't the case. Inside, in his heart, he was not very much supportive of the supreme leader's revolutionary struggle against America, Israel, etc., etc. Now, like many others, he has found the opportunity to say enough is enough of the revolutionary approach. Let us have peace with the world. And he is like another Pezeshkian. He is another, although he has been commander of the Revolutionary Guard, he has been chief of the police, he has been this, he has been that, and he's a speaker of the Iranian parliament, a very powerful position. But underneath, he is no longer supporting the revolutionary ideals.
And so where does the protest movement sit in all of this, after it was so violently put down in January?
We still don't know the exact number of casualties. Opposition and the media, which belongs to the opposition, Iran International, etc., they say 40,000 people were killed. Mr. Pezeshkian says that nearly 4,000 people were killed. I don't have an accurate figure. If you tell me that, Professor Zibakalam, 40,000 people were killed, is it true? I tell you in all honesty, I don't know. If you tell me that no one was killed, do you support that? I say, I don't know. I cannot tell you exactly how many people were killed, but there were many people who were killed that night when they opened fire, when the security forces opened fire on the people. And whether or not it will happen again, I don't know. But I know one thing, that the dissension, that opposition is very widespread. And although you might tell me that, don't you see the people are coming out on the street at night and they say, hey there, and they support war and they condemn Israel, I can tell you only one thing. Yes, I have eyes, I can see those people. But would the government allow her opposition to come out on the street as well? It won't. It won't. You're only free to go on the street as long as you do support the government. If you are against the government, no, you're not allowed to go on the street and to say, to give a slogan against the government. That's the difference between supporter of the government and opponent of the government. Opponents are not allowed to go out on the street. Supporters, they are free to go on the street. Television would show them. Iranian media will show them, etc., etc.
So, why are you able to say this to me?
If you ask some Iranian people that why Professor Zibakalam can speak so freely, they would tell you that don't believe him. He is one of the government agency, etc., etc. But the reason why I can tell you this, I am not saying things against the Islamic Republic. I'm saying that there are many people who are against the Islamic Republic, but they are not allowed to express their opposition. And this is not something that only I say. I believe that Pezeshkian also believes that, Ghalibaf also believes that, many others believe that. Even the hardliners believe that. If you ask hardliners that, does everyone support the Islamic regime? They would tell you, no, there are many people who are against the Islamic regime. And of course, they would go on to say that they are inspired by the United States, they are inspired by the Tel Aviv, they are inspired by this, by that. But even the hardliners accept that there are opposition to this Islamic regime.
And in terms of the peace process that is going on now, do you believe any kind of ceasefire extension has the ability to become a permanent peace?
I believe there is an English proverb which says it makes two to make a tango. I would say that it makes two to make a war. President Donald Trump must want the war, and the Islamic leaders, they must also desire the war. The point is that neither of them want another war. Trump doesn't want war, and the Islamic leaders, except for the hardliners, they also don't want war. Trump has realized that even we attack Iran again, the regime would not fall. So what's the point of attacking Iran again?
But there is a third person in this dysfunctional marriage, isn't it? And that's Israel.
Oh, yes. Trump doesn't want war. Islamic leader, not the hardliners, the moderate the Iranian leaders, they do not war. But Iranian opposition, they want war. Reza Pahlavi, he wants war. Iran International wants war. Tel Aviv wants war. Netanyahu wants war. They want war. Why? Because they want to see the end of the Islamic regime. I don't want to see the end of the Islamic regime because I believe that the only path open to us is gradual reform, not the overthrow of the Islamic regime. Because we simply cannot overthrow the Islamic regime because there are many people who are ready to die for the Islamic regime.
But do you think you can have real political reform without the involvement of the people and of political groupings? You know, if you leave reform all in the hands of the people in power, you may not get very far.
Look, up until now, the Supreme Leader was alive, if you would have asked me about the reform, I would have told you that it is difficult. It is difficult. But given the fact that he is no longer there, I think the path has become paved for gradual reform. Gradual reform. We cannot make reform overnight.
So what's your advice then to the Western powers, to Trump? What should he be doing to get this right?
That you cannot overthrow the Islamic regime. So the best way is to cooperate with the Islamic regime, because the more you cooperate with the Islamic regime, the more there would be economic development, the more that United States would stop sanction against Iran. I think in a way, indirectly, it helps, it supports the reformist the current. Why? Because whenever there is war, whenever there is tension, when there is fighting with Israel, etc., under these circumstances, the hardliner would benefit. The hardliners are very much against any deal with the United States because they know that if there is a deal with the United States, they can no longer bring their supporters onto the street at night. If there is a peace with Washington, they would come to the street to say what? At the moment, they come on to the street at night, they say, down with the United States, death to America, death to President Trump, annihilate Israel, etc. But when there is peace, when there is an agreement, what are we going to say on the street?
You're saying the smart thing to do then now is to lift sanctions, to unfreeze the bank accounts,
exactly.
to give Ghalibaf everything he wants.
to do things that would help Ghalibaf, would help the Arakchi, would help Pezeshkian. The more power they enjoy, the more political freedom people like me would have in Iran. The less power that Pezeshkian has, the less power that Ghalibaf has, for whatever reason, life is more hellish for me and people like me.
Then that brings us to the nuclear question, which is also central to American demands. Iran's position, even under the supreme leader, was that it did not seek a nuclear weapon. Is it easy for the current leadership to say we don't want a nuclear weapons program?
Exactly. Because they have been saying that we don't want nuclear program. But why the damn thing is unresolved and it is still a stumbling block between Iran and United States? Because the hardliners are preventing from reaching an understanding, a compromise, an agreement with the West over the nuclear issue. The hardliners use any issue that would strengthen the struggle between Iran and the West. If Iran's nuclear program can help the struggle, the animosity with the West, they would use it. If there anything that would prolong the hatred, the animosity between Iran and the West, the hardliner would use it. There is no quarrel. There is no stumbling block between Iran and the West over the nuclear issue, because we definitely are not after a nuclear weapon, because they knew that it's no use. Imagine that Iran has a nuclear weapon. What are you going to do? What are you going to have with this nuclear weapon? You would use it against Israel. Okay, you use it against Israel, 10,000 people, 20,000 people would be killed. Israel has 4 nuclear, and they would use it against Iran, and 40 million Iranians would be killed. So what's the use of having a nuclear weapon? Before, we didn't have missiles. Now we do have missiles. Iran is producing many missiles. Has those missiles that Iran has produced during the past 10 years, during the past 20 years, have they brought more happiness? Have they brought more economic prospect for Iran? No. The missiles have brought disaster for us. Have they brought more political freedom? Have they closed Evin prison? Have they released political prisoners? No. So what's the use of missiles? What has been the benefit of Iranian missiles? We spend so much for missiles. We should have spent for education, for progress, for health, etc., but we use them to produce missiles. What was the point of having those missiles? What were we able to achieve with those missiles? What did we achieve with those missiles? Other than hitting Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Emirates, Dubai, Qatar, etc.
So why not give in then to the American demand to hand over the enriched uranium? And why does Iran, insist that it must have the right to continue enriching uranium? Is that a matter of pride?
Yeah, exactly. Because Ghalibaf knows that if he gives those 400 kilos enriched uranium to the West, the hardliners would play hell with him. If Pezeshkian says that let's handle them to even China or Russia, the hardliners would play hell with them. That you betrayed us, you did this, you did that, and we struggled to have those enriched uranium, etc. You gave away, and they say it. 3 nights ago, one of the hardliners, his name is he's a clergy, he is a member of parliament, and his name is Hamid Resai. and he was delivering a speech at night amongst the government hardliner supporters. He was saying that be careful, be very careful. We must keep our 400 kilo nuclear enriched nuclear uranium, etc., etc. Even though it's still there in Iran, they are making propaganda over it. Imagine that if Ghalibaf had given those 400 kilos to China or whatever, they would play hell. And if you ask them that what's the point of these 400 kilos, what are you going to do with them? Your centrifuge are under tons of soil. You cannot use them. It's over there. What's the point of? Why are you so much insisting that we must have them? What are you going to do with them? You can't do anything with them.
And so similarly, what would you say to the young people? I mean, in a way, your message is hopeful because you believe reform is coming and change is coming, but you think it's going to take a long time.
Exactly.
It's going to take years.
Exactly.
Now, do you think people will be, the people who want change, the people who came out onto the streets, will they be patient to wait for that kind of change? And what's your advice to them?
That we have no option, we have no other alternative than wait and gradually move forward. In the past decades, whenever we have tried to make high jump, we have moved backward. We have taken one step forward, but few steps backward. We must learn from our past experience. This is my message to the younger generation Iranian. That for God's sake, learn from our past mistake. Reform comes gradually. Democracy comes gradually. It doesn't come overnight. Overnight comes dictatorship. But democracy comes gradually.
You have been jailed in the past for the things you have said.
Yes, and was out of prison last year because I suffered from cancer, and the doctor advised the public prosecutor that you must let him come out of prison because of medical treatment, etc., etc. Many hardliners don't like me.
Well, I'm not surprised.
And they are, and many of them are within the Revolutionary Guard. Many of them are within the intelligence apparatus. They are within the judiciary system, etc., etc. They barred me from teaching. I am a university professor, and they put the university authority under pressure that he no longer is allowed to teach. Why? What am I saying in my classes?
But you will carry on now.
Yes, because not out of ideology, but I believe that the future is hopeful. I could see some light at the end of the dark tunnel.
Professor Zibakalam, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
You're welcome.
And that's it for this edition of the Fourcast. We will be back with you again very soon. Until next time, bye-bye.